What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Bianconeri Zone. As I said, no player rating video, but I'm gonna talk about players. I'm gonna talk about what Allegri had to say post game, and I'm gonna talk about what Giuntoli had to say pre-game, which looks even more ridiculous post game, because he talked about Allegri's future, and that's a big topic as of lately. But now we're at possibly 10 points off Inter. It's gonna be the main topic from now until the end of the season. Because that's the only thing to talk about now. That's the big question. Is he going to stay? Is he going to leave? Because, again, top four, you are. Let me see. We have 53 points, and Bologna have 39 points, I think. So you're 14 points clear. If you mess this up, it's a complete disaster, even if you lose against Udinese. So that's going to be the big topic. That's what we're going to talk about. But before we jump into it, please like the video. Hit that like button now. Let's get to at least 100 likes for this one. Yeah, that should be easy. But yeah, let's jump straight into what is going to be, for me, a refreshing one. Okay, so this is what Giuntoli had to say, but really quickly, post-game, on the game really quickly. He's losing it. Like, when people say, "Oh, do not, do not focus on what he say, just let it go." No, no, no. You need to focus on what he says. Because he's talking about we were never gonna win the title, like, and nobody was saying you were gonna win the title. I think nobody had that ambition. Like, that was not even the big issue against Udinese. The big issue was very clear to see what the big issue was. When you somebody in the comments, let me know what the idea was to bring in Junior and Yildiz and Nicolucci. Like, it was total chaos. There was no plan, and that's what I've always said. Like, what is plan B? I know what plan A is. It stinks. Plan A is horrible, but it gets us points, but it's not long-term, future. You can build on this at all. But what is plan B? Like, somebody let me know what is actually plan B. Because plan B, as of now, is chaos. It happened against Genoa, and it happened again against Udinese. Total chaos. I felt sorry for Junior playing on the right. He had absolutely no idea what he needed to do. Like, absolutely no idea. You bring in Cherry. I don't know what that was about. Yildiz, first he starts in midfield. You start the second half with Cambiaso on the right in a 4-3-3 when you actually have players to play that formation potentially. Not the fullbacks, but still, Udinese were crap, so who cares? And then on top of that, you still, like, you're chasing a game, and yes, Chiesa was not having a good game, and Cambiaso had some iffy moments, but you're still chasing a game. The risks he takes are weird risks. They're weird changes, and the big ones, McKennie and Rabiot, who, and I'm not gonna say McKennie was horrible, but they don't offer anything if you're chasing a game at all. Like, they're slow, they're not good technical, they stay on the pitch. Was he scared of losing in possession and that them there being the 2-0? Who cares? You were losing that game. You were gonna lose that game like you were gonna lose that game against Inter. Do not chicken out now. You're just gonna lose that game. Make the subs. He tries to be safe in moments when being safe is gone. And when we chase a game, it's total chaos. There's nothing with what makes sense, which makes sense at all. That being said, again, top four talks and all those things, I don't want to hear that. Like, this is Juve. I don't want to hear that at all. We're on pace to get top four. Yeah, like, you're Juve. Like, look at the league. Like, you're 14 points. Like, what do you want me to do? Praise you to get top four? Playing once a week? If you want to do that, fine. Bun that. But if you want to do that, if you want to praise top four playing once a week when you have whatever is happening behind you, you can do that. But I'm sorry, you're not respecting this club. You're just not respecting this. Like, top four is default. That should not be a set goal in the season. Like, and it most definitely should not be repeated every single game. When we lose a game or we play poorly, but we're on pace for top four. Talk about the rubbish performance. Talk about the mistakes being made. But that will never be done. Alcaraz, for example, why did we sign Alcaraz? And you can say, oh, it's only 2 weeks. We were chasing a game. If you're not going to play him now, then when are you going to play him? Like, what was actually the point? He brings on Nicolucci when you have a player in Alcaraz who can potentially change the game. That's what he's supposed to do. And you still do not bring him on. Absolutely ridiculous. And that's what Giuntoli also said pre-game. He said, if we qualify for the Cups, we're going to bring in quality. And I'm like, it's not the quality Allegri is going to need to actually win. I'm sorry. Because he needs ready-made players. And we don't have that money. We don't have that capability to bring in those type of players. So it's just a match that's not going to last long, in my opinion. And he said, Giuntoli post pre-game, he said, we have the intention to continue with Allegri. At the end of the year, we will have time to sit down and plan for the future. Again, I will repeat myself. I don't hate Allegri. He's just not fit to carry out the job that's lying ahead of him at this moment in time. Because if you look at our finances and the players we have and the players we have on loan and the players we've been linked with, they're not ready-made players. They're not. And they're not suited to what he wants to do. It will hold a lot of these players back, and it will hold us back as a club, because you're going to ask players to do something they're not good at. So, that being said, for me, he remains a legend, because what he has won for the club, nobody's going to take away. But now it's time to... We should have made that decision last summer. No Europe. You bring a new guy. You let him work. You let him take his time, work. You were going to get top four. The team is good enough to just cruise to top four, which they're doing now, by the way. Even with losing against Udinese, they're good enough to cruise to top four. Another coach would have done the same thing. He will probably not have picked up so many points at this stage in the season, but he would have made top four. I don't care how many points we have. Top four is top four. If it's with 1 point ahead of fifth or 20 points ahead of fifth, it's just top four. If that was the goal, what the club is saying. But we didn't make that decision. And now it gets tricky. Because next season, whoever you brings in, you will get a few better players, but there will be big time pressure. Depending on who come in, obviously will be more pressure. However, that decision should have been made last season. We didn't do that, and now you're in a situation where you're gonna need to make a decision, because if you're not gonna renew him, he's gonna walk. It's done. He's not gonna go into the final year. You will find an agreement and you will walk away. But if you sign him to a new deal, a 2-3 year deal, the direction this club is going, or like the idea the club has in mind, is not going to work. Because post-game, Allegri was complaining about, we have the youngest squad. The average age was almost 28 against Udinese, by the way. But he was talking about we have the youngest squad and we need time, and Inter are far ahead. Inter just signed Taremi and Zelinski on a free transfer, adding more quality. We are being linked with Samarcic and Cope Miners and Sule coming back and all these younger players. So the excuse of we have an unexperienced squad that's very young is just going to carry on. And we cannot have that, because that's the direction the club is going in. We're not signing, ready-made players. It's just not happening at this moment in time. And Allegri is clearly pointing out to that fact that, this team is young and unexperienced and blah, blah, blah. This doesn't sound like it's a match that's made to work long term. It's actually a match that's made to fail or take so much time that at one point you're like, oh my God, Inter are just too far ahead now. For me, a decision should be made, and the decision for me is very clear, because the direction the club is trying to go into doesn't fit Allegri, and he's just admitting it post-game. He's admitting it. The team is going to get younger next season. It is, because you're losing Alexandro. I'm not sure if Rabiot is going to stay, by the way, but you're losing Alexandro. You're probably maybe going to sell Chiesa. Who knows? The players who we're being linked to are younger. They are younger. And they're not quote-unquote experienced, unless he thinks playing for Udinese is experience, and I'm assuming not. I think he's talking about winning and stuff. So it's not going to get better. This is a very worrying situation. If Giuntoli's words are correct, that he's saying we're planning with him for the future and blah, 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 we want him to stay, it is extremely worrying. Because you're going to go down the lane where you're going to get these youngsters and you have Allegri saying they're unexperienced, or You're gonna switch everything you were trying to build for this club, and you're going into a let's sign Bonaventura way, which is just overkill, and it's just gonna hamper you along the line, long term. So for me, the decision is easy. It should be made. It should have been made last summer. We kind of wasted a year because now, again, you need a new coach if he comes in to bat in, take his time, build his own thing, completely change it, and not with 1 game a week, with 2 games a week, because you're gonna go into Europe. So it's not even a gift to the new coach, if it's an quote unquote unexperienced one. It should have happened last season, and we didn't do that. For me, he cannot be the future of this club. He can't. Looking at the players we have and being linked with and on loan, it's just a bad match in my opinion. But let's see. But it's gonna be the talk from now until the end of the season. That's gonna be the talk every single day in the media. It is what it is, because the season is gone title-wise. You just have scraping top 4 and somehow winning the Coppa Italia. That's it. But between those days, between those games, it's all gonna be about this, and the rumors are gonna kick off starting from tomorrow or today. Excuse me. You bet your, what, on that. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, and it's up to Klopp. It's up to Giuntoli to make that decision now. But let me know in the comments what you think should happen. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. I will be live for the post day after live show later tonight, so stay tuned for that, because we have a lot of things to go over on this game. The day after, more things just pop up to talk about, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, I'll see you guys. Ciao.